Good evening. Glad you guys have had it and made time to join us tonight for this L2. As you probably know, I am traveling on a bus coming back from Oklahoma City tonight. So we recorded this ahead of time, and I wanted to share with you the material. I'm excited about sharing it with you. It has to do with having a healthy church, 10 characteristics of a healthy church. And I've got some help from that from a gentleman by the name of Dale Galloway. And we've kind of revamped that material and want to share that with you tonight. And I think it's going to help you. I think there'll be something in there that will challenge you. And I do have 4 quick reminders for us. One is I had emailed you about all 4 of these. The first one is the Bless app. It's a app to help you with your prayer life and praying for the people that live around you and giving you scripture. And if you haven't gone online and downloaded that, I would strongly encourage you to do that. I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you can give it to your churches and maybe the entire community. And so it's just a great app, and we won't get into all of it, but if you'll look into it, I would really appreciate it. The second thing is Craig Coulter has invited us October 4, 5, 6, and 7 of 25 to his facility. They are the largest Nazarene church in North America and doing a great job. Craig and I went to school together, and I have the utmost respect for him. And so it's a first come, first serve, and you can bring as many as you want. So if you have staff, you can bring your staff. You're going to meet with his staff to go over processes and strategies and just the culture that's there. The only cost you have is to get there. They're going to put you up. You're going to be in guest homes, which I think is wonderful. You'll be able to talk with them. They're going to provide all the food. So everything that would cost you will not be on you. They're going to take it on. I hope you will consider joining us for those 4 days. Then please don't forget about Team Day coming up with Stan Reeder, Dr. Stan Reeder, who is the regional rep for us as he represents North America. And we're looking forward to a great time there. And we invite you to come on that Thursday, if that's better for you, or that Saturday. The Friday will be for our MAC leaders, and it's going to be a great time. We look forward to having you join us, okay? And then finally, just a big serve, October, I think it's 26th, coming quickly. But if you've planned for it, it's going to be a great time. And we're looking forward to serving our communities. We have several churches that are really on the ball on this. And I would encourage you, if you have something that you can do for the older group, maybe they bake cookies or maybe they stay and pray, whatever they would do at the church during those days, and others would go out and work. That would be great. If you need to do it ahead of time, that's great too. Neosho just finished a work day with the community. And so there are tons of ideas that you can do. And I understand, you don't have to do it on the 26th, but that's the day we've set. And so some of you may have things that happen in the fall on that day, and you can't do that. It's not the best. I understand, but we hope that you will do a serve day to your community, people in your church. Okay, so let's jump into this. If you've got your notes, that would be great. But Dale Galloway defines a healthy church as one that can be defined as one growing in numbers and in quality, both in winning people to Christ and in growing disciples into strong Christians, the discipleship process. So let's look at his 10 definitions, ingredients to a healthy church. Number 1, a clear-cut vision. He says only 4% of senior pastors in North America have a clear-cut vision for their church, only 4%. It seems to me that if you can pull down a signal to your TV antenna or to your phone, it seems to me surely we can hear from the Lord and get a clear-cut vision of what God is asking us to do. A clear-cut vision is going to give you focus. It's going to give you direction. It's going to help you know where your target is at. And so, like, if you want to see 5 people won to the Lord this year, the question becomes, how are you going to do that? And so then that becomes part of your goals. But you have to have that vision of winning people to Christ, making a difference, discipling people. You've got to have the vision first. And if you don't have it, fall on your knees until God Almighty shows up and installs in your heart the vision. And the vision may be one that not everybody is going to like, oh, that's good. And maybe not, I believe that. Or maybe it's going to be one that the only way that vision is ever carried out is if God Almighty shows up and does something in the life of your church. God's not going to give you a vision that's easy and that can be done like that. He's going to give you a vision that you're going to have to depend on Him to pull through, okay? So don't be afraid of it, but if He gives it to you, let that become the driving force in the life of your church, in the life of the ministry of your church, to your community. Okay, number 2, he says that a healthy church should have a passion for the lost. That passion fuels vision, and vision carries out mission. Okay, he said again, passion fuels vision, vision carries out mission. A biblical vision leads our hearts to cry out for the lost. I think that it's obvious that Christ had a passion for the lost, and He died for the lost. I don't think He's asking us to do anything less. I think He wants us to have a passion for the lost. I think we need to care about the lost. The lost can be rich and the lost can be poor. The lost can live across the street and the lost can live across town. The lost can live in your county and across the county line. They're everywhere. And God wants to give you a vision for that. And I would say to you, this is a great time for you to check your heart to say, is my heart broken for the lost? Do I really care about the lost? Do I really care that those folks who don't know Christ are lost, dying, and will spend an eternity in a place away from the presence of God forever? Does that bother me? And if it doesn't bother you, you have a heart problem. A heart problem. And you're going to have to get it realigned. So the passion for Christ is in reaching the lost. Okay? Number 3, a healthy church is going to have a shared ministry. That is, you're going to have a thinking that says, I'm going to include people into ministry. I'm going to give ministry away. I'm not going to hold on to it. I'm going to give it to people. It's often been said, if somebody can do it at least 80% as well as you can, it's okay. And sometimes some are saying even less than that. I would just say to you, I would do the act of giving away the ability to lead in the church to as many people as possible, as fast as possible. You know, a new person, anybody can take an offering. Anybody can greet at the back door. Anybody can come early and turn the lights on and the heat on or the air conditioning on in our churches. People can do that. They don't have to be experts. So use your thinking and give ministry possibilities away. Opening the church, closing the church, picking up, setting up your bulletins or your announcements or all of that. Those people can be used in tons of ways. Get them involved. And here's what I strongly believe. Involvement creates ownership. If you will get people involved, they will take ownership in the life of the church. If you don't get them involved, there will not be an ownership that comes in. So get people involved so they own the ministry and own that this is my church. Okay. And then don't be afraid to find their gifts and strengths. And what that means is you will ask some people to do some things and they will be terrible at it. That's okay. Because you can say to them, okay, let's try this. And you can set it up by saying, hey, I want you to try this for 30 days. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't work for you, I want you to try something else, and we'll talk about that. But set yourself up so that they don't think it's forever. Here's a trial run. If it doesn't work, we'll move you over here. We'll try this. But here's the catch. If it works, you've hit a home run. Okay, so involve people in ministry. Number 4, empower leaders. Healthy churches have empowered leaders. So you need to be thinking now about the then. You need to be thinking now about the then. Who's gonna be on your board in 10 years? So you may have people in your church that you're thinking, well, they have their act together, but they are not spiritually ready to be on the board. Okay, well, how will you get them ready for the board? And I would say to you, you have to mentor them. Okay, you've got to mentor them. And so work at the process of how can I go about creating a process that I can get them into a mentoring process to help them grow in the Lord. Okay, so develop new leaders on purpose. Meet with them once a month. Meet with them once every 6 weeks. Spend lunch with them. Talk to them about life. Read a book together. Talk about the chapters of leadership. There's 1,000 ways to do that. And if you want help, please feel free to ask. Okay. A lot of people have given you this scenario, and I just wanted to remind you of it. So the model for that is if you personally are going to be teaching somebody how to do something, it's I do it. Okay. I do it, you watch. I watch you do it. You do it. All right. And then someone would say, you do it and someone else watches. So that becomes the next step. Okay. I do it, you watch. I watch, you do it. You do it. You do it and someone else watches. So there's your continuing circle of discipleship and ministry. Okay. So empowered leaders. Number 5, healthy churches have fervent spirituality. In other words, I think that means for all of us is that we are creating a discipleship process in life of our church. So if someone comes to know Christ, I personally believe they need to be immediately thrown into a process. So that would be like Chick Shaver's eight lessons. Okay, those are online now. They're free, but if you want to print them off, and they're done in different versions. I personally. So they've changed the wording to King James, the New King James. They've got one in, I think, NIV. You get the one that you like, the wording especially, because that will help you and help them. But get the process going 8 weeks into that, and then what are you going to do next? Okay. Now, some of our churches have jumped into a process. And so Kevin Meyer, who we just heard this week, has talked about that process and in his book Home Run, and it's 101, 102, 103, 104. So he's got a baseball. Rick Warren talks about the same thing. You have this process of moving people from first base, second base, third base, home. What is your process? What are you doing? So if that's 4 lessons, and if you need help with that, there are several churches in our district that already have set models going. So Selena at the Well would have one. Kyle at Pitt Naz would have one. I know Carthage has one. Fort Scott has one. Other churches have one. If you need one, let me know. But I know you could call those churches and you could get that discipleship model and you could transfer to your church, no matter the size, and you could use it to be the process of discipleship in the church. Okay. Number 6, a healthy church is flexible and functionable and has structure. Okay, has structure. So here's what I would say to you. God has called you, if you've been, let me say this, if you've been to an installation service, you've heard me say this. God has called you to lead. Pastor, lead. Okay, the church needs you to lead. So in this flexible and functional structure, they need a leader, and God has called you to do that. So lead in, if you're not a senior pastor, but you're listening today, then lead in your area, lead in your group, lead in your, whatever area you're in, lead strong in that. But if you're going to lead, here's the key, don't get too far in front. Know that the troops are back there and you can't just go galloping off because you're on a horse and they're walking. Okay. Keep the troops close to you so that you all work together. Okay. When you do that, don't be afraid to be flexible. In other words, you may have to make adjustments on the trip. We just came back from El Capitan, and the young man who climbed that wall of granite practiced for years on how he was going to do it. In the middle of his climb, his ascent, he changed his mind and changed the path. Now, he climbed that in less than 3 hours, which is absolutely incredible. He did it without an assistance from any person, and he had no ropes. It was an incredible process. But one of the things that was key as I was listening to the story is he adjusted his route in the process. Don't be afraid to make adjustments while you're in route or in the process, okay? Number 7, celebrate worship, okay? Let me challenge you to do this, at least this. And here's the challenge. I would love for you to plan out your worship services at least 3 months in advance, okay? So that's going to take some work. But here's what happens. If you have developed your sermon for the year, which I hope you have, you know what series you're going to preach, you know what, either a book you're going to work from or a biblical book you're going to work from, you know where you're going, you can easily then plan your worship to fit your message. And then because you're thinking about it for several weeks ahead, if a new song comes out or an old song hits you or a new thought or a quote hits you, you can insert it into your message and or your service, and it fits perfect. Okay? So I would encourage you not to walk in on Sunday mornings and say to your music people, hey, what are we going to sing today? And they say, well, I don't know. Let's figure out something. Don't do that, okay? Our people deserve better than that. But more than that, God deserves better than that. Can I say that again? God deserves better than that. Sit down, figure out where you're going, what you need to do to get there, and let's make our worship services in excellent mode to lead our people into worship of our God. Okay? Number 8, healthy churches will have connections in small groups. If ever we've seen the importance of this, we've seen it during COVID. So we know that churches who had Sunday school or small groups came out of COVID way ahead of those churches that did not, or if they had it and it wasn't strong or it wasn't healthy, we know you didn't come out better or as good as you could have if you had had small groups and Sunday school groups that were healthy, okay? So that tells us that every church needs to have small groups and or Sunday school involved, okay? You've got to keep your people connected, and they have got to have the relationships. The relationship in the small groups or Sunday school will strengthen your church. It will create bonds. It will bind them together. So don't let another situation occur where you have not created a healthy small group ministry in the life of your church. Okay. Number 9, a healthy church has evangelism or is focused on outreach. Okay. Now, if you're on our district, you know that we are heavy into outreach. It's probably one of the reasons why we are seeing such a great amount of people coming to know Jesus Christ. The other day, I was sitting in this situation and I shared with the DSs that were around my table. They were asking some questions, and I simply just said how many that we had won to the Lord last year. We had over 1,300 people come to know Christ. And the table got really quiet. And I think what we're trying to say is we're going to be a district that we are not going to settle for mediocrity, but we want to push the gates of hell back, and we want to win people to Jesus Christ, and we will do whatever it takes to get it done. Now, I say that to you, but I also say it to people who are looking at coming onto our district. I remind them, we would love to have you. But if you're not into outreach, if you don't want to do new things, if you don't want to invite new people to church, if you're not into evangelism, if you don't know how to ask people to know, to have a relationship with Christ, you do not want to be on this district. You will be so uncomfortable in just a matter of months. But if you're willing to learn and to crave a new movement, a new idea, you're open to new ideas. If you're willing to do that, you're willing to be involved in outreach, we want you. But I think that's the heart of God. I think that God wants us to be outreach oriented. And I think he wants us to reach outside of the walls and outside of our comfortability and do what we don't think we can do and depend on him more than we've ever depended on him before. And I believe because we will do that, we will see men, women, and boys and girls come to know Jesus Christ as their personal Savior. And I believe the growth that we're seeing on our district right now will be multiplied because of your faithfulness to the kingdom. I believe that with all of my heart. We have to be outreach oriented. We've got to plant churches. We've got to start new ministries. We've got to create Celebrate Recoveries and recovery ministries all over our district. We have got to move past our comfortability to where God wants us to. And if God is giving you a vision, God will give you the strength and the wisdom and the ability to pull off what looks like the impossible because it's his vision, not yours. You're getting his vision. You're getting his heart. And God wants you to live in his heart. And when you live in his heart, he will give you the power and the ability to accomplish that which he has planted deep within you, and you will do it for the glory of God. You have got to be outreach oriented. Number 10, healthy churches have loving relationships. Loving relationships. Loving relationships will build a church. Loving relationships will strengthen the church. When there's tension in the church, you have a hard time growing. So if you have tension, figure it out, address it, work with it, have the difficult conversations. A loving church, loving relationships will be a growing church, okay? Now you'll notice I said number 10, but I didn't say the final one. And here's why. Because I think that Dale missed one. And I believe this with all my heart. I don't apologize for this. But I think a healthy church is a praying church. Okay. I think that when we lean on our own abilities and our own capabilities, we're setting ourselves up for disaster. So I believe that we have to lean into the Lord for that. I'm reading a book written by Chris Hodges at home on pray first. Pray first. I love what he's saying. Set a plan. Find a place. Keep the process. Push through. Hear from the Lord. Be willing to fast. Be willing to spend here in just a few months. And that sounds crazy, but you know, January will be here before we blink our eyes. And as you know, I've challenged you to join us on a Daniel fast, whether that's 3 days, 10 days, or 21 days. I do not care how you do it. I don't care what you fast. Okay? Here's what I care. I care that you fast, that you don't partake of something that you love, something that maybe you need at times, or you think you need. And you're telling God, God, I want your presence more than I want the very thing that keeps me alive. I would love for us to be a district that we are so hungry for a move of God, that we hunger and thirst for righteousness, and we hunger and thirst for his movement, and we want God involved in our churches and a movement of God on our district that is absolutely beyond our wildest dreams. And I think if we show our hearts to him in prayer, he wants to bless us and anoint us and give us favor that we can't even comprehend. But we won't have that happen if we don't tell God and show God, we want you more than we want anything else in this world. So I think a healthy church must be a praying church. It has to be the foundation by which you become a healthy church. When you pray, God's going to begin to do things in your life and then in your life and in the life of the church. And I don't think those things can happen unless you are a praying church. So I encourage you to do just that in the days ahead. So I want to close down with a word of prayer. I want to pray for you that God will help us to be the church, the district that he wants us to be. And then I'll have one closing comment. Father, we thank you tonight that you're faithful and that you are a God who wants to do exceedingly abundantly beyond our wildest dreams. And so tonight we're asking you to plant dreams and visions in our hearts. Move us to a spot of being uncomfortable on what you're asking us to do, that we would realize we cannot pull it off unless you show up. God, I pray that our faith will increase as we trust you in the days ahead. These next few days, as we spend time together in Team Day, and then we serve our communities, and then we prepare for Christmas, and then we get ready for January. God, give us passionate hearts across our district that we want the movement of God more than we want anything else. Place it deep within us and do what only you can do. Now I pray that your blessings would rest on each of our pastors and those who are hearing these moments. I pray you bless them indeed. I pray, Father, that you would enlarge their territories, that your hand of anointing would be upon them, and that you would keep them from evil and causing harm to others. And I ask all of this in Christ's name. Amen. So I just want to say thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciate the time that you've given tonight to join us, wherever you're listening or whenever you're listening to this. But here's what I know. Because we know leaders who learn make other leaders better, I am thankful that you've joined us tonight. Can I say it again? Thank you for joining us tonight. Because we know leaders who learn make other leaders better. May God's richest blessings be on you now and in the days ahead. We love you. If I can do anything for you, let me know. God bless. And good night.